All right, here's Exhibit 192. We're on the record. The parties are present. The jury is not present. In relation to Exhibit number 192 that we talked about before break, the defendant may ask the following question. You may want to write this down. In February of 2020, while this case was being investigated, did Detective Pillar ask you to provide any documentation which might support whether Melanie had a financial motive for your murder or death, however you want to phrase that? The state may also ask follow-up questions on whether or not any financial motive existed, such as a life insurance policy. I don't know the answer to that, if she was the beneficiary of a life insurance policy. Additionally, the defendant has opened the door somewhat, and for now the state may ask in redirect a question along the lines of, all the communication you had with Detective Pillar in the last 5.5 years was not solely about this case, correct? Some of your communications with Detective Pillar were related to a separate investigation, correct? To the extent the door gets opened further than that, I guess depends on where the defendant goes for the rest of her cross. I don't see any reason to actually introduce that Exhibit 192 because it has other information on there as well. So that's the ruling. Are we ready to bring the jury in?
In 1 second.
And just to get ahead of the ball, when Detective Pillar eventually testifies, you would also be allowed to ask if he sought that type of information and why he would seek that type of information.
Okay.
All right, you want to go ahead and get ready at the podium? We'll bring the jury in. All right, please be seated. The jury is present. You can continue with your cross of this witness.
Mr. Boudreaux, in February of 2020, while this case was being investigated, did Detective Pillar ask you to provide any documentation to prove that Melanie, your ex-wife, had a financial gain at your death?
Yes.
And did you provide that information to him?
I believe I did.
How many documents would you say that was?
Can I get some more context around that?
Yes. So Detective Pillar asked you to provide him with some documentation of financial gain from your ex-wife, Melanie. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you did provide to him some documentation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so what were those documents?
What did I provide to Detective Pillar about that?
Correct.
I had a life insurance policy. I provided him with that.
What else?
I'm not sure there's anything else I provided him.
Okay, did you provide the rental agreement for Melanie's address?
Are you talking about on that specific day, or?
Ever?
I can't say for certain that I did, but I may have. I believe I had it. I believe I helped her when we were signing that.
Okay. So did you provide your rental agreement with him?
At some point, I believe I gave him my rental agreement for my property at 3875.
And did you provide information showing your financial shared accounts?
If he asked me for that, I would have provided it to him. I can't say for certain which accounts I gave him, but I'm sure if he asked, I would have given him any accounts he needed.
And you gave him the information, the contact information for your financial person at Chase Bank?
I would have, if he asked me for anything pertaining to the case, I would have given it to Detective Pillar so that he could investigate.
Okay. So he could help demonstrate Melanie's financial gain if you were to pass away. Is that correct?
I didn't say that.
No, he asked you for that. Is that correct?
I can't recall him asking me that.
So he asked you for any documentation that would help him demonstrate financial gain for Melanie if you were to have died around October 2nd, 2019.
I can't recall if he asked for that specifically. If you're asking if I can recall whether or not I talked with him about the possibility that she had financial gain, I definitely talked with him about her having financial gain. If you're asking if I can recall the exact wording that he used, I can't tell you that I can confidently sit here and recall the exact wording.
Well, you looked at this exhibit, correct, a minute ago?
You showed me a document.
Would you like to look at it again?
If you're asking if you would like me to look at it, I can look at it.
Okay. It's the last line. Did that refresh your recollection of your email with Detective Pillar?
I definitely read what you shared with me, yes.
And he had asked you to provide documentation to demonstrate Melanie's financial gain in case you were to die on October 2nd, 2019?
He asked me if I could provide any documentation that could have showed that there was financial gain for her if I had died on October 2nd.
And you did provide the information to him, is that correct?
As I said, I can't recall exactly, but I'm sure I did.
And did you provide screenshots to him?
I'm going to object or ask for foundation of what? Screenshots.
Sustained, please lay more foundation.
Okay. Did you provide to Detective Pillar 6 screenshots in response to this email where he asks you for that documentation?
I gave Detective Pillar my phone, so they had literally every conversation I ever had. So I'm sure he would have had access to any conversation I'd had with someone
Okay, and when was that you turned your phone over?
at the time of the shooting.
So on October 2nd?
Correct.
So in February of 2020, February 12th specifically of 2020, did you provide to Detective Pillar 6 screenshots of messages to him for this purpose of demonstrating Melanie's financial gain?
As I said, I had a lot of conversations with Detective Pillar. So if you're asking for one specific conversation, I can't tell you right now that I recall exactly what I would have given him in February of 2020.
Okay. Would you like to look at this?
If it would help, sure.
Okay.
For the Bates. Sidebar on this.
Okay.
The life insurance policy that you provided to Detective Pillar, was that an active policy?
As of the date
As
that I
of that-
provided to him, or as of the date of my,
As of October 2nd, 2018?
yes.
Okay. And did you provide more than one life policy to him?
No.
To Detective Pillar? Did Melanie have a life insurance policy?
Objection relevance.
Sustain. Well, are you asking if she had an insurance policy separate from this on him?
Correct.
I'll allow it. If he knows.
Not that I knew of.
Okay. But in your agreement, did you provide also a copy of your mediation agreement to Detective Pillar?
Yes, I did.
And in that agreement, Melanie was supposed to get a life insurance policy as well on herself as you, the beneficiary?
I'm going to object to relevance at this point.
Sustain.
Who was the beneficiary on the policy that you provided to Detective Pillar
On what date?
on October 2nd? Who was the beneficiary on October 2nd on your policy?
Melanie Boudreaux.
And did you change that beneficiary?
I could not. It's a whole life policy. It's not changeable without both parties.
And do you remember when you provided that to Detective Pillar?
I can't recall.
Did you provide any other financial information to Detective Pillar in regards to his email asking you for documentation?
Can you ask that question again?
Yes. Is there any other financial documentation that you provided to Detective Pillar after he requested it in the email to you?
Are you speaking like on that specific date or
Anytime
at any point
after.
in the future?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again as to extrinsic.
Sustain.
Brandon, did you meet with the prosecutor in preparation for this testimony?
Yes.
When was that?
I can't say which specific day, but I met a few weeks ago, 2 different times.
2 times?
Yes.
How long each time would you say? Or how long was the first time?
A couple hours.
How long was the second time?
A couple hours.
Did you review documents at that time?
Yes.
To refresh your recollection of things?
To the best I could, yes.
Did you view any of the financial documents that you provided to police during those interviews?
I did not.
What documents did you review in preparation for your testimony here today?
The ones that I can recall would be my 911 call and the conversation I had with Detective Pillar.
So your interview with Detective Pillar?
Yes, the one that I had with him in the car.
Okay. But not all of your conversations with Detective Pillar ever, right?
I don't even know how I would do that.
Okay. You had mentioned in your testimony yesterday that the Tesla has a camera on it. Is that correct?
I don't know if I mentioned it in my testimony yesterday, but the Tesla does have a camera on it, correct?
on the front or the back, or how does that work?
They have cameras on the front and the back and on the sides.
And so it goes like, oh, sorry. So like a 360-degree view?
Depending on the Tesla, there's different cameras that they have, yes.
And were any of those retrieved, to your knowledge, from the Tesla, the cameras?
The model that I had was not one where it saved the recordings.
So it doesn't save any recordings at all?
It did not.
Okay. When you talk about where the Jeep Wrangler was located on October 2nd, you said it was nose to nose with the white van, is that correct?
Correct.
How close was that nose to nose, would you say?
To me, that means that they were basically touching.
Okay. And then you had stated that you kept going straight, is that correct, after the shot?
Correct.
And then the Jeep passed you, is that correct? At some point?
I had stated that I went straight. I went around the corner and I parked, and then the Jeep followed the path that I did and went past me. Went around the corner and then went down the other lane. Without looking at a map, I can't tell you what the name of that street was.
Okay. And so when it passed you, did you look over at the Jeep?
I saw the Jeep in my rearview mirror initially, and then I looked over to the right as it drove off down the road.
And did you see the driver of the Jeep?
I could not identify the driver.
And you have seen Alex Cox before, correct?
I couldn't see anyone.
But you have seen Alex Cox before, correct?
Yes,
And you have been with him on many occasions. Do you know what he looks like? Is that correct?
correct.
And so you would recognize him if you had seen him. Is that correct?
If I had seen him, I would recognize him.
So when you were looking, you said you first saw him in your rearview mirror. You saw the Jeep coming up towards you when you were pulled over. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so you didn't see the driver at that time either in your rearview mirror?
That is correct.
Okay. You couldn't tell who was driving?
That is correct.
Not even if it was a man or a woman?
That is correct.
Okay. So you didn't see the driver at all?
That is correct.
And then you didn't see the plate number either as well, is that correct?
I did not give them the plate number, no.
And you had your phone in your hand, or you did not?
Can you give me some more context? When are you speaking of?
When the Jeep passed you, where did you have your phone in your hand?
My phone was connected to my speakers, so
Oh.
I was talking over the speakers, but I believe the phone was in my hand.
And like you didn't take a picture of the Jeep as it passed or the license plate or anything?
I did not.
Did you yourself personally take pictures of the Tesla after the incident?
Can you give me some context of when?
Anytime after the alleged shooting?
I sold the car, so I took a lot of pictures of it before I sold it. So, yes, I did.
Did you take pictures of it immediately after?
Can you give me a definition of like when immediately is?
Like, did you take pictures of it showing the window missing?
At some point, I took a picture of my car. I can't tell you when specifically, with it missing a window.
And did you take pictures of the bullet hole?
At some point, I may have. I don't think I did though.
Did you send those pictures to anyone?
I may have. I don't remember.
Did you send those pictures to your dad?
If I took a picture of my car, I may have sent a picture to my dad. It's not something that I recall off the top of my head.
Did you send pictures to the two friends that were there with you?
Object to relevance.
Sustained.
How long was it before you sold your Tesla after October 2nd?
I couldn't say. I gave it to the police. They had it for a while to run tests and do whatever they needed to do. Then when it was returned, I took it to a dealership to get it repaired. And after that, at some point, it was sold.
So did they repair it? They were able to repair everything?
They were.
Did they have to replace the whole door?
I don't know what all they had to do. I just paid for it after it was done.
So the police did not ask you to turn the car over to them, is that correct?
That is incorrect. I turned it over to them.
When did the police have the car?
As soon as the shooting happened, I gave it to them, and they kept it. I can't remember when they gave it back to me, but they gave it back to me later.
So days or weeks or months or how long after?
Like I said, I don't know specifically, but I would guess it was a couple weeks if I remember correctly.
Okay. So if that happened on October 2nd, then you had it back maybe before the end of October?
I did have it back before the end of October, I believe.
Okay. And was it the same as when they took it? Was it intact the same way, the window missing and the bullet hole?
I mean, I can't say if I would believe that whatever tests they did were not intrusive. I don't know if they did anything, but as far as the car being the same, it looked the same to me.
Okay. And then then you sent it to get repaired after you got it back.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. And then how long did it take them to repair that car?
I can't recall.
Like weeks or days?
Like I said, I can't recall. I can't tell you a definitive time.
Do you have to have a rental car during that time?
I borrowed a friend's car.
Okay. At what point did you decide that the Jeep was gray and not puke green or camo green?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Did you provide information to the Gilbert Police Department that it was a gray Jeep?
I believe I referred to it as several different colors throughout conversations I had with law enforcement.
Okay. And where did you get your information from the VIN number that it was actually a gray Jeep?
I did not.
Where did you get the information that it was a gray Jeep?
Later at some point, I decided I thought maybe it was gray.
Later at what point?
I can't say for certain.
A month later?
To
2 days
to me,
later?
puke green and gray are very similar in color. I identify both of them very similarly.
But when did you change your mind from puke green or olive green to gray?
Like I said, I didn't say that I changed my mind.
So in all the reports, they say a gray Jeep. No one ever says a green Jeep. So that information did not come from you?
I can't say what the reports say. I can only share what I can testify to, which is that to me those colors are very similar or the same.
So with you having access to the VIN number of a particular Jeep, would it give you the color of the car?
I never looked at it, so I can't tell you.
You never looked up that VIN number?
I never looked to see if it gave me a color.
Do you know if that's a thing that you can look up the VIN number and see the make and model and color of a car?
I can't testify to the ability to look that up. That's not something I'm an expert in.
And you've never done that?
Tried to look up a car color by the VIN number?
No, that you've never looked up that specific VIN number to that Jeep. Is that what you're testifying to today?
Can you give me some context?
Yes. So after October 2nd, did you ever look up the VIN number that you had access to of the Jeep Wrangler that was in my household?
I don't think I did. I don't have a recollection of it.
So did you just provide the VIN number to Detective Pillar?
Yes.
And when did you provide the VIN number of my vehicle to Detective Pillar?
I think on October 2nd. I'm not certain, but I think that's when I gave to him.
So on this day, on October 2nd, you provided that VIN number to the detective?
I think at some point, if I recall correctly, I remembered that I had it, so I got it and sent it to him just to make sure that he had it.
So at that point, even though you thought it was a puke green or olive Jeep, he would have access to the information that it was actually a gray Jeep that was in my family household. Is that correct?
I can't testify what he had access to.
But you provided him with that information that very day?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
Brandon, did you know of Alex being an avid shooter?
I knew that Alex liked to shoot guns.
Did you know that Alex liked to frequent the shooting range?
I didn't talk to Alex a lot about that, so I can't testify whether he liked to or not liked to.
But you knew through the family that he did go to the range a lot?
I mean, I can't testify. Like I said, I can't testify to whether or not I knew that he liked to go to the gun range.
Did you ever go to the gun range where he was there?
I did not.
Did you ever go to the gun range in anyone in my immediate family with them?
Can you define your immediate family?
Well, my brothers, sisters.
I don't recall going to the gun range with your brothers or sisters.
Did you ever go to the gun range?
Can you object to relevance?
Why is it relevant if he went to the gun range?
Do you own a gun, Mr. Boudreaux?
Can
I guess
object
it's
again
sustained.
To relevance.
Overruled, you can answer.
I do own guns now, yes.
Did you own a gun on October 2nd?
I did not own a gun on October 2nd.
You did not have any kind of gun in your possession on October 2nd?
I did not.
Did Melanie own a gun?
She did.
It was registered to Melanie, not to you?
She bought it, correct.
Okay. When you say that you provided the VIN number to Detective Pillar, was that later in the day after the police had already left, or was it while he was still at the scene?
I believe it was after he left, but I'm not certain.
So how would you have gotten him that information?
Would have probably been through one of my friend's phones because he took my phone when he left.
So would it have been an email or a text message?
I believe it was a phone call,
A phone call.
but I'm not certain, like I said.
And at that time, you had handed over your phone to Detective Pillar?
Yes.
When did you get your phone back?
It was late that night. I believe he had to give it to somebody who, I'm not a police officer, so I'm going to probably say this wrong, but they had to copy everything off of it, and it takes however long it takes. And so I turned it over, and then I just waited until that was done. And apparently I had a lot of stuff on that phone, so it took a long time.
A long time, meaning a day, 2 days, 6 days?
Burgess already testified that night.
Sustained.
I'm sorry, I missed that. You had it back that night.
I actually, as I think about it, it may have even been in the morning that I went back and picked it up.
Okay.
I'm not certain, though. It was either that late that night or it might have been in that morning because I think I didn't have my phone that night.
Okay. Did you go buy another phone in the meantime?
No.
You just waited for it to be returned to you?
Yeah, it seemed like the most logical thing to do.
Did Melanie provide information to you that she was going to be out of town that weekend before October 2nd?
She did.
And was that the first time that you, that weekend of October 2nd, or those weekdays, I guess it was weekdays at that point, is that the first time that you activated the mediation agreement where the children were with you at the new house?
We were following our mediated agreement throughout the summer. However, that was the first time that I had a space where we both felt like the kids could move freely and be kids. So it was the first time that they got to come and spend time and enjoy it. They previously had stayed at my house, but I had to be very careful. It's an expensive house, and it had to be show ready. Someone could come at any time.
So what day was it that the kids started being with you on your visitation that before October 2nd? Was it the 1st and the 2nd, something?
No, it would have happened the day that she left, I believe. I mean, I haven't reviewed this, and it's been a long time, so I believe it would have been like a Thursday or Friday that I got the kids, and I had them over the weekend, and then until I did the drop-off on October 2nd.
And what day of the week was October 2nd? Not sure I know. Do you remember?
I believe it would have been a Wednesday based off of our parenting schedule.
Okay. So on Wednesday's the day that you would have turned the kids over, they'd have gone to school and Melanie would have picked them up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that morning, had you talked to Melanie in the morning before school at all?
She and I only communicated through text.
Did you communicate with her through text that morning before school?
I texted her to let her know that I was dropping the kids off.
And then you had to have some kind of text messaging to let her know you were there to drop off Breeze, right?
Correct.
And you met at the park for that, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you went straight to the gym after dropping off Blake, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's about how far from Melanie's house to the EOS gym?
5 or 10 minute drive.
And then how far is that to your residence from the EOS gym?
5 or 10 minute drive.
So when you were driving down your street, when you turned onto your street, did you see anyone else out in the neighborhood?
I did not.
No one out walking or anything that you noticed?
Not that I noticed.
And when you drove away over by the pool area, was there anyone out in that location?
Not that I noticed.
How many cars would you say were parked on your street, on the Phelps Street, that morning?
There were 2 that I noticed. I couldn't tell you how many other cars were parked on the street.
But it's kind of a crowded street, so people do park on the street there that live in that neighborhood. Is that correct?
I have never testified to that. I can't recall.
And you had lived into this same neighborhood previously, is that correct?
Not this portion of the neighborhood, no.
Well, one neighborhood over on the same street, right?
I did live on a previously I did live on the neighborhood over on the same street.
Right. So you're familiar with that neighborhood anyway, even though you only lived at this house for a short time, is that correct?
I would not agree with that. This is a different section I didn't go to.
Because there's no availability to go from that neighborhood to that neighborhood, even though it's the same street, is that correct?
You can't drive. It's not connected in driving.
Correct. But literally, that house to that house is only like 10 houses away, really.
Can you give me context? Which houses are you talking about?
I'm just saying, your rental house from the house you owned earlier on Phelps Street is really only about 10 houses away, even though there's a divider and no access to drive straight over.
Yeah, I've never counted how many houses, but it is a short distance between those two houses.
And you guys lived in that house for a long time before you moved, right? A few years.
Sustained.
Brandon, when you were providing all of this information to Detective Pillar in regards to your relationship with Melanie, were you trying to have him charge Melanie with your murder?
Object to relevance.
Sustained.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
I'm going to start by talking to you about June 25th, okay? Why did that date stick in your mind?
It was a painful date.
If you can get closer to you, Mike.
It was a
please.
painful date.
Why was it a painful day? Why did that stick in your mind?
My grandfather was someone who was really important to me, and I was dealing with, sudden loss is traumatic. So I was dealing with that, and my family is the most important thing in this world to me. And so the dissolving of my family was probably one of the most painful things that I've gone through as a person. And that date is the start of the dissolving of my family.
Okay. So when you are talking with Melanie, was the focus of that argument about your marriage?
Yes.
And during that argument, did you and Melanie discuss issues within your marriage?
Yes.
And during that, did Melanie bring up reasons why the marriage was over?
Yes.
Did any of those reasons involve things that Melanie claimed you did to her aunt, Lori Vallow?
Yes.
So one of the reasons why the marriage was going to end was because of this defendant, Lori Vallow, things that she said you had done to her.
Yes.
Did that include the idea that you had hacked into Lori Vallow's computer?
Yes.
So that's something that Melanie was bringing up to you during this argument about the end of your marriage.
Yes.
Did the issue of you helping Charles Vallow try to take away Lori's temple recommend also come up?
Yes.
So again, your marriage and reasons why it's ending tied to Lori Vallow?
Yes.
Is that why you sent those text messages to Lori about the temple recommend, that you had nothing to do with trying to take that away?
Yes.
You told her that was a lie.
Yeah.
During that argument, ultimately, did Melanie say that she just wanted to end the marriage?
Yes.
prior to June 25th, did you think that you were about to get divorced?
No, I had no, there was no thought in my mind that that was going to be an outcome.
And then all of a sudden on June 25th, you start hearing about things that you've done to Lori Vallow that is why your marriage should end.
Yes.
Was it your belief, based upon your conversations with Melanie and with Charles Vallow, that Lori Vallow was involved in causing your divorce?
Yes.
I'm going to talk to you about your interview with Detective Pillar on October 2nd of 2019, okay? Have you tried to memorize your transcript?
No, we talked for a while, so it would be a lot to try to memorize. No.
When we met, you listened to it again.
Yes, that was the first time I had heard it.
You have been asked by the defendant to read various parts of your transcript. Are you having difficulty recalling what happened to you that day with the Jeep?
No.
Were you trying to verify the specific words that you were telling Detective Pillar during that interview?
Yeah, I think it's important for me to be honest and be thorough, so I wanted to make sure that I was thorough in what I was responding.
Can you tell us from your own memory what the Jeep looked like?
Yes.
What did it look like?
Like I described it that day, a puke green or a gray Jeep with no tire on the back, with a Texas plate.
Did you tell him that it was a Jeep Wrangler?
I did, yes.
How many doors did it have?
2-door.
That what you recall?
That's everything that I recall.
Is that what it was?
I believe that's what it is, yes.
And when you talk to us about what you saw happen, is that because you listened to an interview or your own independent memory of what happened?
Those are my memories.
So whether or not you used X word or Y word, do you remember that the back of the Jeep window lifted up and a rifle barrel came out and pointed at you and shot your car?
Yes, I'm certain that's what happened.
There were some questions about kids. You were given some portion of a transcript. At one point, are you talking to Detective Pillar about calling 911?
Yes, I was explaining the dispatcher.
When you were talking to the 911 operator, do you mention to her that you think maybe someone was using a paintball gun?
Yes, I did.
When your car was hit and a bullet didn't go through the window, were you trying to figure out how that was possible?
Yes.
Did you later realize that it wasn't a paintball gun that hit your car?
Yeah, as I stated, I was certain once I saw the bullet hole in my car that the same reason I called 911 originally, that someone had shot at me, and it was definitely a gun, and it was definitely, they were trying to kill me.
So why did you call 911?
Because I believe in following the law.
Did you think that you'd been shot?
Yes, and I wanted protection. I wanted to feel safe.
Okay. When you saw that bullet hole in your car and no paint on your car, what went through your head?
I think, like I said, it's a really scary thought because up until then, I think you want to feel safe. And so I was trying, my window was broken, but I didn't see a bullet hole. And I was trying to think of something to make myself feel maybe safer. And when I saw that, I knew that there was no other option than that someone just shot at me and they were meaning to kill me. There's no other logical explanation for why that would have happened.
When you were driving back to your house and from the pool area, you told us that you saw the Jeep going up Cole sort of in your direction initially, correct?
Correct.
And then you saw the Jeep turn right onto Waite?
Correct.
And you could see across that field, and then you saw it turn south onto Fisher?
Correct.
So you were asked about why would you return home? Did you actually see the Jeep sort of leave?
Yes, and that's why I turned around.
Did you in fact follow that same direction so you could see if the Jeep was still on Fisher?
Yes,
Did you see it on Fisher?
I did not.
When you turned onto Phelps, did you look down the street and see if you saw the Jeep?
I did not see it on Phelps.
So by then you knew it, the only other way it could go would be now into Fairview?
Correct. And I believe I told the person on dispatch that I had believed he went out onto Pecos.
And that's because that's the only way you can go from there, right?
Correct. I just wanted them to know there was only 2 exits.
When you got back into your driveway, you were still on with 911, right? We heard that.
I was, yes.
Were you thinking about, oh no, if the door opens, the glass might fall out?
No, I wasn't thinking about that.
Were you trying to talk with the 911 operator and keep yourself under control?
Yeah, I was trying to make sure that I gave them all the information they needed.
Were you trying to watch and document how the glass might have fallen out of the window when the door opened?
No, I actually was surprised when it fell because it wasn't something I was expecting.
Same thing when you were up by the pool. Were you thinking rational enough as you're talking on the phone with the 911 operator about someone just shooting at you to think, oh, I should make sure that I take a photo of this Jeep?
No, if you recall, I was a little out of breath, and I was very nervous. That's a nerve-wracking experience.
Is that when we heard you actually almost like panting, like you had been running?
Yeah, yes.
And do you wish you'd seen the driver?
Of course, I wish that my Tesla camera worked. I wish a lot of things.
But you didn't.
I did not.
You were asked a lot about this VIN for vehicles. When you are given a VIN number, does that mean you get to see the car? Does that have anything to do with a visual of the vehicle?
No, it's just a number that identifies cars.
So in your use of a VIN number to look up car insurance, did you care the color or the accessories on a vehicle?
I mean, an insurance company might, but you have to think they had multiple cars. I had to take all those VIN numbers, put them in, and then you go run it through a software, and it tells you who's going to give them the best price. So I wouldn't have been paying much attention to any of those details. I can't even recall what any of them were on the cars.
So you're just putting in the VIN numbers to see who might pop up the best insurance rate.
Yes.
You were asked a lot about communications with Detective Pillar. Did you know him before this?
No, I met him that day.
Was he the assigned case agent for your case?
Yes, he was.
So that's the person you were supposed to communicate with about your case?
Yes.
You were asked about having a large amount of text messages or phone calls or emails with Detective Pillar over the last 5+ years. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that all of those communications that you have had with Detective Pillar over the last 5+ years were not just about this case?
That is correct.
Would it be fair to say that some of those communications that you have had with Detective Pillar over the last 5+ years were in relation to a completely separate investigation?
That is correct.
On October 2nd of 2019, did you tell Detective Pillar that you believed Lori Vallow and Alex Cox were involved or responsible for this shooting?
Yes, I did.
So this is before you had access to VIN numbers or anything else.
That's correct.
While you were still sitting there being told by the police not to leave, Detective Pillar comes over and takes you away from sitting under the shade, brings you to his car, and interviews you.
Yes.
And you tell him that.
Yes.
So even if Melanie had some financial gain if you had died, did that change your opinion at all that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox were involved in this shooting of you on October 2nd of 2019?
No.
I have no other questions.
Are there any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? All right, seeing none, you can step down, sir.
Thank you.